What's going on, everybody? A new look. You guys know who I am. Well, some of you guys will know who I am. Some of you won't. But my name is Greg Moffitt. I also go by the name Jim. Him. And this is my beautiful, sexy, wonderful, spiritual, blessed, courageous, virtuous. Man, I'm just at a loss of words. Help me, Lord. This is my beautiful wife, Crochet. And this is the start of a new show that we are doing. And we've been wanting to do it for a long time, man. But due to some stuff, it's finally happening. So we want to introduce y'all to Pillow Talk.
Pillow Talk.
Even though we ain't got no pillows yet, we on the couch, but work with us, man. So the purpose of Pillow Talk is it's just an opportunity as us as married people to have some real conversations, to talk about marriage, be honest about marriage, to give encouragement about marriage, to talk about where we are in marriage, to talk about what's going on in the world and in pop culture and our opinions of it as married people and as believers, and things like that. So as some of you may know, we on the Real Christian 100 channel, we posted a video about vices. We were talking about vices. That video, it's no longer up. It's gone. We'll address that at another time. But, in the video, we kind of shocked our wives, talking about our struggles with pornography and masturbation. We kind of just threw it at them and didn't really have a conversation about it. So there was a lot of backlash from people, and a lot of people felt a way about it. Some on one side, some on the other. So it kind of forced us into this. Well, not forced us into it. It kind of gave us the opportunity to finally do this, because we've been talking about doing Pillow Talk for a long time. And, since I put my wife on the spot, I thought it was only fair and right for her to put me on the spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that podcast. We've talked about it briefly, like a little bit, but we haven't gone in detail. When we posted it and everything, I told her, I said, this could be a good opportunity to finally do Pillow Talk, and we can talk about it. And I threw her to the wolves and threw her in the fire, so it's my turn. So yeah. So I'm a little nervous. I'm okay. I'm a little nervous though. I won't lie. That's why I'm kind of rambling on, trying to keep the conversation from happening and things like that. I'm just trying to ramble and buy myself a little bit of time. You feel me? Because I don't know what's coming. But we gonna see. I know she's gonna season her words with grace. She's gonna season them with grace. And bear with us. We got our baby girl Izzy with us. Chance is upstairs in the shower. I'm sure you'll hear us telling him to stop splashing water and things like that. We're a young family. Yeah. Work with us. Yeah. So I am going to pass it off to my beautiful wife, and yeah, I'll let you start.
Okay. Well, I have notes.
About 10 pages.
I have notes. I'm all over the place. I have ADHD now, so I talk a lot. So
a lot.
In order for me to remember everything that I'm gonna say, I need to write it down. So I wrote down my points. I saw the video in full, and I first want to say, even though the phrase that he's using is "we shocked our wives," I absolutely was not shocked at all.
What you mean? What you mean you wasn't shocked, man? What that mean? Yeah, what that mean, man? You know something I don't know? What you mean, man?
Yeah, I wasn't shocked at all. I'll say this. I wasn't shocked because I knew. And also I'm gonna just be a bit transparent with you. Kind of touched on it when we were talking, but like, if you don't mind, my situation with when we have intercourse. I'll just say it. When we have sex, are you okay with me bringing up what the issue is?
You know, I don't. You know.
I know, but I'm still asking out of respect.
Okay, I respect that. Yes,
Okay.
I don't mind at all.
Okay. So I wasn't shocked, and one of the main reasons why I wasn't shocked is because, you know, we don't have sex as often for a few reasons. You know, back-to-back pregnancies. I'm sick
Very sick.
during the pregnancies until I can get, you know, some medications where I can keep my food down. And even then after that, hormones. And so we're not intimate for pretty much the whole time that I'm pregnant. We probably have, and this is not even an exaggeration.
You gonna put a number on it?
I mean, for real though, like probably twice.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, probably twice. Probably for each pregnancy.
Right.
Yeah, that's about right, for each pregnancy. So then I'm dealing with postpartum stuff and then babies back to back. So I kind of feel like I haven't really had a chance to just kind of like go back to normal. So there's that, and then he doesn't require a lot of sex, but even with him not requiring a lot of sex, with me, you know, pregnancies, postpartum, the lack of sex because of that. But then on top of that, I actually experience a lot of pain during sex, and we're kind of like on our journey to figure that out now. But yeah, it's painful. And so it's also that, you know, he doesn't want to look down and see his wife in pain. And I try to, you know, suck it up as much as possible. And we tried different things physically to minimize that pain. And it just doesn't work. There's something going on. We just don't know exactly. I kind of have an idea, but we don't know exactly what it is. So anyway.
I'm so proud of you.
For what?
As private as you are.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, man.
You know, the Lord convicted me, though, about that. That's why I opened up about mental health with motherhood.
Awesome.
I didn't want to.
I see you, Lord.
Yeah, I didn't. All the stuff I'm sharing online, I didn't want to share that. Yeah, I'm super private. But yeah, so I say all that to say it isn't a shock because sex within a marriage is healthy. And so if people are not having sex in a way that satisfies both partners, you're always going to leave the door open or a room open for not just an enemy, but I mean we're humans. We want to be desired. We want to connect. We want to bond. And so, you know, you leave opportunity for that when you're not having sex consistently. And even to bring the Bible into this, the Bible speaks of this when it brings up fasting. I believe it's in 1 Corinthians 7, when it talks about marriage. Paul's talking about fasting, and he says, you know, really only deny yourself sex when you're fasting. And even in that, try and come back together pretty soon, because you're leaving the door open for other things to happen within your marriage. So yeah, that's why I wasn't surprised, and you know, I just kind of knew. I've kind of always known, but
what you mean? Like what do you mean? You kind of all
intuition.
Alright.
Why are you saying it like that? Intuition.
So that's why when we were playing the game, you smiled. I guess I know you got that in your list.
Yes. Okay. So we'll just jump into that. Yeah. We played a card game a few weeks ago. Yeah. And in the card game, a question came up. is it do you masturbate or how often do you masturbate?
Something like that.
Something like that. And he said, oh, I don't do that. And I just looked at him and smiled. Because my intuition told me, like, if we're not having sex, and I know that we're not having sex.
I sounded so cheap too when I said it too.
You did.
I sounded so cheap too, man. I couldn't even look her in the face. I said, I don't do that. I don't do that. What? I'm a married man. What?
You did. You did. I was like, this man really think I'm stupid. Have a little faith in me. Like, give me some credit. Give me some credit. But yeah, I just think practically, if you are not having, if both parties are either of you are satisfied sexually, there's always going to be the door open for other things. I mean, you know, we're human, we desire that. So yeah, I wasn't surprised because of that. Is there anything you want to say before I try to quickly go through my boom boom booms?
No. Yeah, let's. So are you? I'm guessing that there's an expectation that I talk as well, huh? Yeah.
A little, but I mean, I want to get my boom boom booms out of the way.
Go for it.
Okay, and then we can discuss. So these are my boom booms. My boom boom booms.
Yeah, it's this whole book too. Yeah, it's the whole
really,
book.
mainly it's why I'm not mad, because I'm not. So I guess we can get into that. I'm not mad. I'm not upset, and that's really what this conversation is going to be about.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not mad, and so I'm just gonna list off some things, some reasons as to why I'm not mad, and I kind of feel like these reasons cover everything. The first one is that porn is a struggle. Porn and masturbation is a struggle for majority of people, like on the planet. And one thing that that's kind of been ingrained in my mind, when I heard that when you sign up for seminary and you're going to seminary to become a theologian, a teacher, whatever, and so that you can operate in the space of, I don't even know what to call it, in the space of what's that space called when you become a pastor, teacher? There's a term for it. Anyway, if that's going to be your vocation, if your vocation is going to be a pastor, a teacher, a professor, maybe in theology, you go to seminary. And so when I found out that when they assess you, they ask you these questions, that there's a porn question on there, but the question is not whether or not you indulge or engage in watching porn. It actually is a question that asks you how much. So it's not even giving you the benefit of the doubt that...
Yeah, now I know.
Now I know.
It's something up there now. It's something.
So when I heard that, it really, and this was a few years ago actually, when I heard that, it really became clear to me, like, oh, so we've gotten to a place to where we can pretty much all admit that this is a struggle for a majority of people on the planet. And
you know there's going to be them 3 or 4 people, 5, 6, 10 people who gonna comment and say, no, I don't. That's not true. I don't struggle with this. I don't. That's not. And that's probably is true. It's not. And I know that's not what you're saying. You're not saying that it's everybody's struggle. I just know that there's gonna be people. Sorry, I'm still a little bitter.
I know it's okay.
Yeah, I'm still a little.
And you're allowed to be.
I'm still a little bitter from some of the
responses that you got.
Yeah, outlet, like just people telling me how my wife felt. Like,
yes.
And you telling me what I did
to
my wife and how she feels.
Yeah.
Boy,
Yeah, and I don't like people speaking for me at all. I have my own mind. We'll get into that later because I do want to speak to that. And yes, there will be a few people that say, "Hey, that's not my struggle," and that's fine,
Amen.
and that's true. But I do believe that it is a struggle for majority of the people that are on this planet, whether or not a lot of them want to admit it. I do believe that it's almost like a hidden kind of cloak struggle in the church. It's just that people don't talk about it. And also, what I want to say to that will hopefully kind of shut people up is I'm not talking about the exception. When people come in and say, well, that's not me, okay, that's not you. You're the exception, but the rule is still the rule. So I'm not speaking to the exceptions out there. I'm speaking to the rule, and the rule is the rule, because if it wasn't the rule, it wouldn't be a question on a quiz for seminary school where they don't even give you the option to say yes or no. They say how much, how many times a week or whatever do you indulge in porn? And so obviously people know whether or not they want to admit it or not that this is a struggle for majority of humanity. The next thing I want to say is my husband's struggle with porn and masturbation has nothing to do with me.
Oh. You gave me a real one, Lord. You gave me a real one, man. You gave me a real one, dog. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. That's what's up, dog. I didn't know she was gonna say that, man.
Literally, he's hearing all this for the first time. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, it has no bearing on my worth, my value, my confidence as a woman. I'm going to be the same confident woman whether or not that's his struggle. Now when it comes to security, because I can hear, you want to go to daddy? I can hear people now bringing up security, and I want to say this before I even go any further. Yes, in terms of the security of the marriage, because I feel like people are going to say this, in terms of the security of the marriage, your spouse is responsible in making sure that the marriage is secure. In regards to, there are things that I need to do to make sure that my husband isn't questioning the security of the marriage. Not so much the security of me or him individually. I don't think that's our job as individuals. However, if something, and maybe this is just me, I know that I'm not everyone, and I know that that might not be every woman's view. But in terms of my husband, there will never be an instance where I'm insecure because of him. But if I feel like there's something that he's done that has made me feel insecure within the marriage, like our marriage unit isn't secure or stable, that's when I'm bothered. But it's never because of my own self-image, my own flaws or anything like that. That's not his responsibility. That falls on me. Now, if your spouse is going out of their way to make you feel insecure within yourself, that's a completely different core issue. But I think something like porn and masturbation should probably be taken off of individuals, and it should be viewed as this is something that will make our marriage insecure, not the other person. Does that make sense? So, that the next thing is, which is a big thing for me. You're not a practicing minister. You're not a practicing teacher. You're not a pastor. So one of the reasons why I'm not upset about this, and even if you were, I wouldn't be upset. I would probably be more so disappointed, because I take teaching people, God's people, very, very seriously. And if I knew that my husband wasn't living up to a certain standard, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do believe that there's a certain standard before you teach people. I would feel a certain way because I'm like, I can't have you out here teaching these people, and you're struggling with this because they're probably struggling with it too. And the perception that you're giving is that you're not struggling with that, and so they're looking at themselves thinking that there's something wrong with them.
What if I wasn't given the perception that I'm not struggling with it? Because how that makes me feel is that I can't have
shortcomings
and I feel that's what a lot of preachers and teachers do is that they hide.
No,
they hide what they're really going through because they have this title, so they can't talk about I'm struggling with this or that. But I mean, we're going to be waging war
until
with something until the day Christ returns. Well, I guess until the day we die. Hey, Chance, we recording a video, my boy.
Chance, shh, Papa, I'm coming up to take you out, okay? No, so I agree with you. And with me, I feel like there's a balance. Like I'm saying that you definitely need to be pressing towards a standard. It's you are entrusted with God's people. You can't, how you move when that's not your vocation or that's not what you're doing. It's okay for that to be different. But once you accept it as your responsibility, the Bible's very clear. Y'all shouldn't even want to be teachers because you're going to have there's going to be a greater judgment. So for me, that's where I'm coming from, where there's a greater judgment for teaching. I'm not saying that you can't have struggles. And let's be honest, and I actually was going to say this, a lot of y'all's pastors have this struggle. They're just not saying anything. But what I would say to that is, yes, everybody's allowed to struggle. I just think that when you're in that seat, that you should the war that you're waging now, just being a family man and being a husband, it's just gonna have to be a bit more intense. If you were, you're just gonna have to fight. You're gonna have to press. You're gonna have to fight harder. You're gonna have to put certain things in place. I mean, I feel like a lot of those men also fall because they're not relying on women they are not relying on the inner circle that they have at the top. Like, these people are here to hold you accountable. So even if you have to be like, I need to put these restrictions on my phone and only you're gonna have the password, then do what you gotta do. But you're leading God's people, so if you need to do something like that, I believe that you should. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna get around that though. I'm gonna tell you.
What do you
what is it called? What is that thing called? That app? Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's just too easy to get around. But
okay,
you're right. I understand what you're
Lord
saying.
Jesus.
I'm just being difficult. You know? I know y'all can get around them things. If I was able to get around them, I know y'all getting around them. Yeah, so do what's gonna work. Do what's gonna work. All right.
Okay, so yes, my main point is whatever you need to do if you're in that position, whatever you need to do to make sure that you are actually waging war and not just saying that you're waging war, but really you're kind of just giving in. You need to do what you gotta do. Yeah, whatever you need to do. If you need to tell your wife and be like, hey, X, Y, and Z, use the accountability that you have at the top. Anyway.
So what if you are waging war? You're just saying, like, as someone
I'm saying
at that
don't
level,
be lazy.
It needs to be more.
Oh yes.
Wage war even more.
I do think that you need to wage
so that's
war
the part
more.
When the scripture talks about pluck out your eye, you need to pluck out your pluck out your eye and cut that hand off. Okay. Yeah. Respect.
Yeah. And
respect. It's a high calling.
Exactly. And my thing is, just like the verse is saying, whatever lengths you need to go to to make sure, and it's not to say that you won't ever fall, and I want to get to that later. Not to say that you won't ever fall again, but it's saying that let them be seasons. Let them be seasons. Don't let it be your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're all gonna have seasons that we fall into something, and it's like, damn, I'm in this season again. I need to get up out of here. I need to figure out a plan to. Yeah, so plan of action. Yeah, let them be seasons. The next thing that I want to say is, another reason why I wasn't mad is because I know this man, and I know that I believe that his calling is healing, as it relates to transparency. So I believe that God has called you to be transparent so that you can set other people free. Mm-hmm. And even though what you're doing is probably not going to be, it's probably not going to be popular, especially amongst Christians, because Christians like to give the perception that all is well when really all isn't well. And then 10 years after they've gotten through something, then they come out and say, oh yeah, you know, I used to struggle with that back in the day. But that's not
right.
That's not your calling.
Mm-hmm.
Your calling is transparency. Mm-hmm. And people are going to be healed and set free from things because of your obedience and your transparency.
Can I talk on that for a second?
Yes.
I think one thing that caused a lot of controversy is I don't think a lot of people understand the show. I don't think that they understand
okay.
why Real Christian was made.
Uh-huh.
And this is one of the things that you and I actually did talk about. For me, bro, for one, I didn't want to talk about that, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't want to talk about that. Mm-hmm. The setup with so we don't plan or script our shows at all. We pray and we ask the Lord to lead us, and we talk. Mm-hmm. And what I love about it is that it's evident and obvious that God is moving while we doing these shows. A lot of times I'm just like, wow, mm-hmm. like this is awesome. Like the Holy Spirit is flowing, mm-hmm. and it is. But so the whole reason that we came up with Real Christian 100 was to have a place where we could be completely authentic and genuine and real about real life in real time. Yeah. Like where we're at now, what we're going through right now. And posting it, you know, how we went not probably. We definitely should have told our wives after we recorded it, hey, this is what we just talked about. Mm-hmm. But you know, one thing that I think a lot of people were missing is, and it doesn't really require an explanation, but we weren't at a place where we could do it. We weren't at a place where we could tell y'all.
Oh, okay.
There was shame, embarrassment, mm-hmm. you know, conflict avoidance and things. And you know, when we knew we were going to talk about vices, mm-hmm. I didn't know. Like it just came out. It's porn, and it just rang in my head. Porn, uh-huh. porn. Don't hear that, Izzy. And I was like, I mean, we're here now. I mean, we're here. Uh-huh. So we're here. Prior to that, we had talked about we're authentic on the show, but we're still sugarcoating it. Mm-hmm. Like we're still not talking about the nitty gritty, like in detail, like the truth of it. So we had said, you know, moving forward, that's what we're going to do. Like we're going to be completely real because people need that. Mm-hmm. And although we got the backlash on one side about how people told us how our wives that they don't really know felt about it, on the other side, 2 people reached out to me and told me that it was a blessing, mm-hmm. and that it's opened up the door for them to want to have a conversation with their wives. And I'm like, let's go, dog. Like, let's go. Yeah. We had just prayed God because we stopped doing the show
Uh-huh.
because we got caught up in the likes and views, and we did the competition trying to give away $100. Nobody liked, commented, shared the video, or any of that. So this time around, we came back and we said we're not worried about that. Like,
Come on.
we don't care who watches it, how many views it gets. If it touches one person,
Yes.
we know that we did what we were supposed to do. So
Yes.
when them 2 people hit me up and said how encouraging it was, and said that they were going to talk to their wives, I said, come on, God.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I understand that, you know, we should have told our wives, but you still use this.
Yes.
And people are still being healed from it.
Yeah.
And you just further showed me that we're on the right track.
Yes.
That we're on the right track. So I think that's one part. I don't, and people aren't used to it. Like, people aren't
they're
used
not.
to people coming out and keeping it a buck like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, keeping it a buck, and I'm gonna keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep doing it because ultimately, it's not about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about me.
You.
You know, I'm gonna always consider you and your thoughts and be sensitive to that, especially now, because it's just wisdom. You know, I just learned from it. But ultimately, bro, this is for the people. Like, this is a ministry that God put on our hearts, and it's something that we know that we need. You know, I'm gonna talk about that scripture all the time. You know, Jesus himself said, you know, if you can't hate your father and mother, then you can't be my disciple. So, and of course he's not literally saying you need to hate your father and your mother, but if your loyalty, and I don't want to use the word loyalty. Yeah, I use the word, if you're
you have to be willing to forsake.
if your loyalty and obedience is unto man over God, then
It's a problem.
that's a problem. Ultimately, I would rather my wife be blown at me for doing the right thing, and she just didn't agree with it, than to carry the weight and conviction of not doing what God told me to do, and I know it's what God told me to do. So, you know, I know the podcast and how we're doing it is what it's supposed to be and how we're supposed to be doing it. But putting it out and not telling y'all in advance was wrong. We should have 100% told y'all before we posted it. So I do apologize for that. Rini, I apologize, and Jock, because I didn't know I was going that direction either, but he really didn't know. So when I said porn, I'm sure he was like, yo, I know we said we were gonna be transparent, but we were gonna get butt naked, but I was gonna stay in my drawers. Yeah, you just took the drawers off. And butt naked is just, when I say butt naked, it's just a term that we use of just being transparent, you know, being our true, authentic selves and not hiding anything. We taking it back to the garden. So, yeah, I just wanted to touch on that since you brought that up.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. And thank you. You didn't have to apologize, but I appreciate, because I understood, but I appreciate the apology and you learning from it. I didn't take, what do you call it when you take something offensively?
Personally?
Yes, I didn't take any of how it happened personally. And let's see. Oh, 2 more things. So the next thing, and this is actually goes hand in hand with what I just said. One of the reasons why I didn't take it personally, why I wasn't upset, is because if I'm not a safe space for my husband at home, that's a problem. And honestly, this is why I really wasn't mad, because I was actually more upset. Like, why didn't you tell me? Yeah, will you talk? Like, just open up your mouth and talk. And, know that God is constantly doing a work on me. So yes, I think that sometimes as spouses, we tend to have a perception. If there wasn't something that was talked about, we tend to have a perception of how our spouse might feel about something that we bring up.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say talk about, like, God could be working in me on like my sensitivity or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't know that if I haven't said God has really been working on me with my sensitivity and
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I think a lot of times you either don't say something or you're hesitant on saying something because you only know your spouse. Okay, Holy Spirit, you only know your spouse as well as the last conversation that you've had with them. If something could have changed between them.
That's good stuff right there. That's
That
good.
was a literal download.
That's
I
good.
can't even take credit for it. So, you know, but you have to realize and recognize, especially within a Christian marriage, that God's always working on you.
Mm-hmm.
God's always working on me. So to kind of set aside the preconceived notion that you have, because if you haven't talked to your spouse about a specific thing, then you wouldn't know how they would respond to something.
Let me touch on that.
Yes.
Yeah, man, that's just why, you know, in that video, you know, you okay, sweetie? In that video, you know, so what this did, you know, being so afraid to have the conversation, what that did is it opened that door, not only to talk about that, but to just talk. My wife always tells me, like, you just talk to me, man. Will you just talk to me? And a few weeks ago, we had a conversation talking about, you know, why I don't talk and things like that. But what this did, like, in these last 24 hours, we done did a lot of talking, like just talking, like just talking, like it was so liberating to just finally say that, get that weight off of my chest, and not even to just talk about the porn and masturbation thing, but just to talk to my wife, like just to talk. Like, I have a Marco Polo group, and I don't talk to her about my Marco Polo group. I'm talking to her about my Marco Polo group. You know, I'm talking to her about some of the responses that people were putting in the comments and things like that. And this is just stuff that I just always keep to myself, because I'm like, doesn't matter. But my wife wants to hear all that. Yeah, she wants to. Yeah, there's just nothing that she doesn't want to hear. So I don't know, like, posting that, it just unlocked something in me to just be able to talk. Now we're gonna see how long that lasts. You know?
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna see.
It's a work in progress.
We're gonna see. But that's why I was so excited, because we were gonna do this tomorrow, and I was like, nah, let's do it now. Like, you know, I got the momentum. I'm feeling good, and we had planned to do. We've been talking about it for a long time, but last week we had planned to do it this week. You know, and because one thing that I know is that when I'm doing this, I talk a lot. Like, I really share my thoughts and feelings and opinions and things. And so inside it, I was like, this is a tool that I can use to talk to my wife, because I know if I'm doing this, I'm gonna open up and I'm gonna talk, and then that's gonna help me be more comfortable outside of this camera and stuff like that. So that's all I wanted to say.
That was good. I like that. And imagine, and I kind of want to point out what you said about it just opened up just talking even after that. Because imagine if I would have shamed you, or if I would have had an adverse reaction to
I would have completely
shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been a wrap. Yeah. Yeah. If I just got on the World Wide Web and shared my embarrassing, shameful struggle of pornography and masturbation since I was in the 6th grade, and you just bashed me, you could forget about it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you could forget. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I would have. That would have been it.
Rightfully,
and that's not right. No, it's not right.
It's not right in the sense that, should you do that within a marriage? No. But I think that there would have been some validity to that, because the whole point of you making the video, well, not the whole point, but you know, it kind of happened organically. But you said in the video, like, we haven't talked to our wives about this for a reason. So it would have kind of validated, this is why I didn't say nothing to her, you know? So I want to point out the fact that we were just able to talk, not even talk about the struggle or what you've been dealing with, but just to talk. And I think that also sometimes, whether it's a man or a woman, sometimes when you come out with something heavy like that, you don't necessarily, you kind of dread like the conversation of like the accountability, and like, are they gonna say that I need these certain restrictions, and are they gonna want to see my phone, or are they gonna use this against me to do other things or whatever? But you kind of dread the heaviness of that conversation. So I honestly think that, and I didn't do this intentionally, it was just my genuine heart. There was no reason for me to react the opposite. You know, one, I wasn't surprised, but other than not being surprised, it's just like, God gives me so much grace. So why am I not going to extend the same grace to you? And I ultimately want everyone to feel safe. I want you to feel safe. I want our kids to feel safe. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to sharing and opening up. And I just think that you do a disservice to your marriage when you're not trying to practice that, even if it came up in a way that you didn't appreciate. I think that you have to work on being open, and not everything has to be so heavy. It doesn't have to be so heavy. It can just be, I feel like we haven't even really fully talked about it, but I feel like we have an understanding. I maybe touch on maybe a few things, but I don't even feel the need to have a huge, this deep conversation with you about it. You know what to do. You know what I'm saying? You know what to do.
Right.
So, I like that we were able to just talk, and that it was light, and it didn't feel so dreading. I didn't want to make it dreading for him, and I didn't want to make it dreading for me. Sometimes in marriage, as wives, we can complain about y'all not opening up, but then the moment you're doing it, it's not the way that we want it. But we'll complain about it. But then at the same time, we want that same sensitivity. I was trying to give you that same sensitivity, and you shut me down. Yeah. So,
even Izzy laughing. I say, that's right, period.
So, yeah, and I think I kind of I actually already touched on that last point. So that was really the last thing in terms of how I felt about the video, and also just your personal struggle with porn masturbation. I did want to say, because I saw in the video that you guys are talking about, is it different for men and women? I think that it's a little different, but no, excuse me. No, I think that most men and women both struggle with the same thing. I think in terms of looking, when you guys talking about the first look, the second look, things like that, I think that might be a little different. But even then, I think that men don't really understand that women aren't too far off.
Nah, I know y'all be looking, man.
When it comes to that, we're not too far off. Now, my friends can attest to this. This is just Shay. They're probably gonna call me a pick me. This is exception. I am the exception. Once I'm with someone, that person becomes the apple of my eye. So I don't really, in terms of feeling like I want to be with someone physically, I don't feel that. In terms of really staring someone down, looking at their muscles aren't even really super attractive to me. But if
you calling me fat?
I'm not with you, no. If I'm not with you, my eyes just aren't on you like that. But that's just me. But I have witnessed with being friends and going out, they literally act just like men. It's just that women like to act like they don't do that so that they can blame men for doing it. But I've literally been out with friends who I know were in relationships. And you know, I could tell that they were fishing for compliments from the waiter, or I could tell, you know, their demeanor completely changed. They were trying to get, you know, the look, whether they stick out their chest or try to kind of talk seductively or whatever. So yeah, women, you know, women are just sneaky and don't talk about this stuff as openly as men do. But yeah, but that's how I felt about everything. And so I do want to say that's all my feelings. But I do want to say I am so proud of you. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of this man because I have been praying since August of 2021. Just very specific things for God to do in him. And since then, God has really been working in him, and really since March of this year, God has really been revealing things to you. He's been correcting him, making him better. He's becoming a lot more self-aware, which is always my prayer. So maybe for someone else, that video would have been something different. But for me, the video was actually an answered prayer. Because all I want for this man to be is transparent. I just want him to be transparent. I want him to be truthful. I want him to be self-aware. Know the things that he needs to work on. And be honest. Just be open and honest. Even with like the card game thing, I wasn't even mad about that because it's like I was actually very proud and grateful that because you could have just taken that one to your grave. I don't think it's deep enough to take to your grave. But for someone who's very concerned about their image or the perception or how people perceive them, they would have taken something like that to their grave. Like, I'm not going to admit that I lied about that. So even hearing him being honest about a lie, which probably sounds wow,
so that's weird.
But for me, this might not be for you, sis, but for me, for my husband to be honest about a lie, that's what I've been praying for. So, I can't get upset about what I've been praying for. I just want this man to be honest. I want him to be real. I want him to be transparent, and I want him to be open. So, I'm very, 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 very proud of you, and I can see how God is working in you and using you. And I wrote you some affirmations. Chance tore them up. I got to rewrite them. But a lot of what's on that paper is what I've noticed just about how you've been changing. You really have been changing for the better a lot lately. And yeah, for me, the video was like kind of like the cherry on top. Like, this is what you've been praying for. Here it is.
Well, there you have it, people. There you have it. She's not mad at me. Yeah, she's not mad. So God is good,
all the time.
What's the scripture I was trying to use? All things are working for my good.
Yeah.
That's not the scripture I was thinking of. I don't know. I can't remember, but I'm ecstatic. Yeah, guys. Yeah, this is real time. This is real time news for me. So, yeah. So there you have it. That's the follow-up recap of that podcast that we posted on porn and masturbation. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see it. It's not there anymore. But maybe sometime in the future we'll be able to open the doors to that conversation again, because there's a lot of good stuff in there, and a lot of good stuff that people that people need to hear. But yeah, this is Pillow Talk. We're just getting started. Not sure how frequently we're going to do it. But yeah, until the next episode, thank you, my beautiful wife.
Thank you.
For, doing this and sharing your, she farted on me, sharing your views. And thank you for not scaring easily. Kisses.
Anytime. I love you.
Love you. All right, guys. Have a blessed rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.